Hey there everyone, and welcome to rural New Zealand. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 9. Whether you're new or you're back again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support through watching my series. I hope you're enjoying it. And in this episode, I figured after 2 episodes of just downtown, we would branch completely out and do something really rural. So it's fair to say right now, if you guys aren't into rural city skylines, then this is probably not the episode for you. You guys know how much I love the nature detailing, and this episode is pretty well completely nature and rural detailing. And I start by terraforming out a new valley here that I'm going to run a river down, and in terms of inspiration, there was so many parts of New Zealand that I could take inspiration for this particular type of build, but there's a area nearby to where I live called Uranui, and there's a section of the road that follows this little river, and it's just beautiful. Parts of it are really close to the river, other parts swerve away and go through the thick bush. It's just really cool, and most of my inspirations come from that. But there's also a lot of roads on the east coast around Napier that I've also taken inspiration from, and of course the roads down in the south around the Queenstown area and around areas like Twizel and Geraldine, just to name a couple. So I'm trying to be as accurate as I possibly can here with my choice of trees. I've also used Ronix's Asheville Road, which isn't a highway, but I've chosen this road because the texture on it is just amazing. I've put the little white dots in the middle of the road by hand. They are just decals, which was a bit of work, but the reason I've done that is because, like I said, this road just looks spot on. I'm really stoked with how this looks. This was a big part of rural New Zealand, getting this road right, and there's still parts I'm going to add where there's passing lanes and it expands out and things like that. And we're so lucky to have the amount of wicked assets that we do on the workshop, just going on and looking for trees from Australia and New Zealand. There is so many, so gotta thank guys like Paldemo and Mr. Mason and Grey Flame, and that's just to name a few. I'm so sorry if I've missed you out, but we're blessed for trees, and trees are a huge part of a realistic city. So here it's mainly shore pines, and I put in a couple of Norfolks as well, and just generic bushes, but I really made a point here to use more tree ferns from Mr. Mason, and hopefully he's making me a brand new tree just for this series, which is super exciting. And this particular tree is a staple of any New Zealand bush wherever you travel, so that's why I'm really excited, because it's going to take it to the next level 100%. And I finish off the area here by using Grey Flame's mossy rocks, which I've used right throughout the city, and unfortunately the texture I've chosen for the cliffs, which looks really good on the Remarkables, looks not so good up close. So I tend to use these mossy rocks for these types of cliff edges and just put lots of foliage around them. There's lots of really cool and interesting rest stops in New Zealand, and some of them are built around like tourist spots where there's maybe waterfalls or something of interest. And a big part of the vision for this rural area was having this rest stop here in between the road and the river, and it wasn't going to be too much to it. It's basically just gravel with car parks, but you could just walk from here either down by the river or maybe along the river, or maybe you could go for a swim if you were brave enough. And I'm focusing on extreme realism here, and the same can be said for this entire episode. I'm really aiming for as realistic as I possibly can with these areas, and because of that they took hours. Believe me, they took so long to do, but that is absolutely the price we pay for, building a realistic city. And any one of you guys, if you've detailed in City Skylines, you'll know it takes so much longer to detail than anything else. Even things like paddocks, putting fences down and grass and stuff like that, sometimes you delete it, sometimes you keep it, sometimes you modify it. It can be really painstaking. And I believe one of the things you most definitely have to be when building a realistic city is disciplined. You have to stick to your plan that you lay out right from the beginning. You have to follow Google Earth as closely as you can, because from my experience, the more you differ from that, the less realistic it is. Of course, everybody's experience is different, and if you play City Skylines, you might not agree with me, and it's fine. This is just from my experience, I guess. So here I'm making a classic Kiwi house off a rural highway, and it goes up a long driveway here, and it's complete with a letterbox and an entryway with like some fences angling in towards the driveway. And these style houses in New Zealand are generally where the owner of a dairy farm or the manager of a dairy farm will live. So it's like a homestead with a small lifestyle block around it, and then a larger farm surrounding that. And again, gone for that super realistic look here, as realistic as I could make it. And I make this style house about 4 or 5 times up the road with different variants like longer driveways and outdoor areas and stuff like that. And eventually this road will lead to a small township on the outskirts of the main city that we'll dive into in a later episode. There's a couple of spots on New Zealand roads where it goes through rock tunnels, or tunnels that have been carved through rock, and I'm trying to model this one off the one from Uranui, which is where we're taking the inspiration from this road from, and it's actually proving quite difficult. I've tried to use Grey Flames rocks here, and I think it looks okay, but I may revisit this in future and touch it up. I'd like to make it look like it was more carved out of the rock. If anyone knows of an asset that might help me here, let me know in the comments, please, by all means. So I've also narrowed the road down to one lane here to make it a little bit more authentic, and added in some little wee touches like signs saying that there's a one lane coming up and all of that sort of stuff. And of course we've used the same trees we've used right throughout the section, and I've made it look really bushy around the area where it meets the tunnel. And I think it looks really cool. So there is a chance I may revisit it like I said, but for now I'm still really pleased with it. I hope you guys enjoyed going rural in this episode, and in the next episode we make a small township on the outskirts of the main city that's going to be the base of something really special. I don't want to give too much away. You will have to tune in to see it. But we definitely continue with the ultra realistic theme, and I really hope you guys stick around and stay on board for the next few episodes, because I'm hoping to really ramp things up. And what I mean by ramp things up is I really want to take on things that are unusual or things that haven't been done very often. So the next couple of episodes, I hope to tick those boxes. A lot of you guys have also asked me to make a cinematic, which I think is a great idea, so I'll look to do that too in the near future. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Hit me with your suggestions in the comments, please, and take it easy guys. Look after yourselves and look after each other. Peace out.